Hey guys, back here with my friend Bret. We did an interview back in January, but I wanted to get him on again so he can answer a few more questions. So we'll treat this as another Q&A. The first question I want to get is, I want to ask, there's a lot of bikini competitors that have very big quads because it looks like just 3 years of squatting. And I know hip thrusts also have high quad activation. So how would you go about programming for a girl that has big quads and she doesn't want to have big quads anymore, or just to make her more proportionate and really train the glutes without training the quads?
Okay, so I get this all the time. It's a very common question, and I always clarify this because like when every girl starts out, they think their legs are too big. They're like, I'm quad dominant. You hear that from every single woman, I'm quad dominant. And they don't want to do squats, they don't want to do lunges, they just want to feel their glutes. But if you really examine the issue, they have a lot of fat around their legs. It's not that they have too much quad muscle, it's that their legs are fat. You know, women store more fat in their lower body than men. And hell, when you're a beginner, you've got high body fat percentage. So I always try to get them to perform squat, like just look, don't try to second guess anything. This is what we do in strength and conditioning. We train the whole body. Do your squats, do your lunges, do your hamstring exercises and glute exercises too. But and then I try and tell them, like, look at the top 10 bikini Olympians. Like, I've worked with half of them, okay? And I can tell them, this girl, this girl does squats. You can find it on her YouTube video. Granted, they're not doing squats with 225 pounds, but they do. Typically, you'll see them doing squats with 95 to 115 pounds for 3 sets of 10 to 15, and they don't shy away from them. They're doing their lunges and they're doing their leg press, and they look great. It's because they have low body fat levels and they've gotten their weight down. So I always try to say, look, like let's say you get a woman, you're like, what's your ideal physique? And they show you someone that weighs like 115 pounds and they weigh 155 pounds. You go, okay, that woman is 40 pounds less than you. So let's try to work down in weight, but we want to lose fat and keep muscle. We want fat loss, not just weight loss. And we want to keep the muscle. So we want to, get resistance train and eat high protein so that we're ensuring that we lose fat. Now, so that's my clarifier, okay? Some people do have too big of quads for their liking. They're lean and they do have too much quad muscle for their liking. So this answer is for them. In that case, I try to do exercises that don't work the quads a lot. So instead of doing barbell hip thrusts, you do barbell glute bridges. That has less quad activation. You do a lot of hip hinging movements because that takes the quads out of it. It's more hamstring and glute. So when I say hip hinging, I mean good mornings, back extensions, 45-degree hypers. So you do tons of those, and then you do lots of abduction and hip external rotation. So there's 30 different hip abduction exercises we do here at Glute Lab. You could do the most popular out there are probably the standing cable hip abduction and the seated hip abduction machine, but you can also use a glute loop or a mini band or a hip circle and do your glute exercises that way. And then hip external rotation exercise, there aren't a lot of those, but we do some with the cable column, like the cable standing hip external rotation, and those take the quads and hamstrings out of it. So you can also do exercises modify some of the exercises. For example, with leg press, instead of putting your feet low on the platform, put them higher up. Maybe go high and wide with your feet turned out a little, and you can wear a glute loop while you do leg press, and that seems to target the glutes a little more and the quads a little bit less. I could go on and on, but you can modify exercise and then just completely modify your exercise selection.